Well, ladies and gentlemen, exactly 6 p.m. in Cairo time to look up at the news bulletin from Channel 2. I'm Hanan Al-Khouly, and we start right away with the headlines. President El-Sisi meets EU Foreign Minister Kallas in Brussels ahead of first Egyptian-European summit. Top UN court says Israel must allow UN relief agency to supply aid to Gaza. And tourists witness solar alignment at Ramses statue inside Abu Simbel temple. Well, the news in detail. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Wednesday received EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Deputy Head on the European Commission, Kaja Kallas, at the residence in the Belgian capital of Brussels. President el-Sisi, and as the spokesperson of the presidency, Ambassador Mohammed El-Shenawi, said that President El-Sisi expressed his appreciation to the strategic partnership between Egypt and the European Union. The president stressed the significance of enhancing consultations and collaboration between the two sides, especially in the political and security fields, with the aim of serving interests of the Middle East region and the European Union. The head of state noted that the region is witnessing a disturbing situation, reiterating that Egypt's balanced and wise policy aims at attaining security and stability in the Middle East. He referred to Egypt's role along its partners in reaching a Gaza ceasefire deal with the aim of ending the Israeli war. The president noted that Egypt would host a Gaza Reconstruction and Rehabilitation Summit in November 2025. For her part, Kallas hailed Egypt's vital role to reach a ceasefire agreement in Gaza and achieve stability not only in Gaza but also in Sudan and elsewhere. She hailed Egypt's efforts in the fight of illegal immigration, confirming that the EU is concentrating its efforts to support stability and development in countries that export immigration. Later on Wednesday, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi co-chairs the first Egyptian-European summit in Brussels. European chiefs Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen, they will represent the EU. During the visit, President el-Sisi will meet with the senior European Union officials and several EU leaders, as well as the King of Belgium. The president's visit aims to establish frameworks of political cooperation and coordination with the European Union side and with Belgium over regional and international issues of mutual interest. The visit also has an important economic dimension, as an expanded forum will be held over investment opportunities in Egypt with the participation of leading European companies and businessmen. The summit will also witness a discussion over Egypt's vision concerning fighting illegal immigration. Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati said that Egypt is one of the main pillars of stability in the region or in the Middle East, and also a trusted partner for the European Union, adding that Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit reflected Egypt's commitment to its role as a key pillar of stability in the region. Addressing the opening session of the high-level Egyptian-EU meeting in Brussels, Egypt's top diplomat said that the meeting reflects the key role of economic cooperation and the private sector in the interest of the future of the people of the Middle East region. He added that the Egyptian-European partnership is based on mutual respect as well as economic cooperation, namely in the fields of security, energy, climate, and investment, calling for additional efforts to deepen the current cooperation and to achieve economic growth and sustainable development. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a press conference following the weekly cabinet meeting on Wednesday. The Prime Minister said President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's participation at the first Egyptian-European summit in Brussels, Belgium, on Wednesday is a culmination of the comprehensive strategic partnership that has been declared in March 2024. Meanwhile, the head of the government said that all extensive preparations for the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum next month are completed. Concerning the upcoming House of Representatives elections, Madbouli said that the state is completing necessary measures to regulate the process and ensure its success. Well, moving on to the latest development in Gaza, as the Gaza mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and the United Nations, or the United States, stepped up their efforts for this week's special to stabilize the early stages of the truce between Israel and Hamas and to push forward the U.S. President Donald Trump's 20-point ceasefire plan. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Health Ministry said that it received 30 Palestinian bodies released by Israel for people who were detained from Gaza by occupation forces during the war. A senior health official in Gaza said that some bodies of the Palestinians bore evidence of torture and called for a United Nations investigation. Israeli occupation army earlier said that the remains of the two hostages who were returned the day before from Gaza have been identified. Thus, the number of hostages bodies received by Israel under a ceasefire deal brokered earlier this month rises to 17 put of 28. Israel is releasing 15 Palestinian bodies for the remains of each dead hostages. Well, earlier, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance described progress in Gaza's fragile ceasefire better than anticipated, but acknowledged as well that the challenges that remain, notably in rebuilding a land devastated by 2 years of war. During an Israel visit that began on Tuesday, Vance noted flare-ups of violence since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas began on the 10th of October. The Trump administration's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner, U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law, who was one of the architects of the ceasefire agreement, were also present at the press conference. Vance is expected to stay in the region until Thursday and to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other officials. While the ceasefire has been tested by fighting and mutual accusations of violations, both Israel and Hamas have said that they are committed to the deal. The International Court of Justice said on Wednesday that Israel is forced to support the relief efforts provided by the United Nations in the Gaza Strip and its entities, including UNRWA and the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East. The panel of 11 judges added that Israel has an obligation to ensure the basic needs of the civilian population in Gaza are met. The wide-ranging ICJ ruling came as aid groups are scrambling to scale up much-needed humanitarian assistance into Gaza, where a famine was reported in July due to an Israeli blockade that intensified since a January truce collapsed in March. Egypt continues, of course, in mediation. Egypt continued delivering humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip on Wednesday. Trucks of the 56th Zad al-Azza convoy enters Gaza through the two Rafah land ports crossings of Karm Abu Salim and Auja under a ceasefire agreement in Gaza. The convoy includes more than 20 fuel trucks in addition to tens of trucks carrying medical and relief supplies. Ukraine said that a large-scale Russian drone and missile attack across Ukraine today killed at least 6 people, including 2 children. Ukraine's Air Force said that Russia fired 405 strike and drones and 28 missiles at Ukraine, mainly targeting Kyiv. At least 25 people, including 5 children, were injured in Kyiv alone. And as partly Ukraine military said that its forces and struck an important chemical plant in southern Russia's Bryansk region. The Ukrainian statement noted that Franco-British Storm Shadow missiles were used in this strike and had successfully penetrated Russian air defense systems. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov on Wednesday emphasized that the planned summit between President Vladimir Putin and the U.S. President Donald Trump have been postponed, and the Ukraine needs to be thoroughly prepared. Earlier, Trump has said that he had shelved plans for this summit in Budapest with Putin because he didn't want a wasted meeting. The decision about the meeting, which Trump had announced last week, was made following a call on Monday between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Lavrov made clear in comments Tuesday that Russia is opposed to an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. The world witnessed the solar alignment at the temple of Abu Simbel in Aswan early on Wednesday. At its rise, the sun illuminated the face of the great king of Ramses II, which is situated deep inside his temple in the town of Abu Simbel. The phenomenon is a biannual event, and that takes place on the 22nd of February and 22nd of October, the dates of King Ramses II's birthday and coronation day. Tourists gathered to watch a solar alignment that is an evidence of the ancient Egyptians' skills in astronomy and engineering. The solar alignment reflects the ancient Egyptians' link between the sun and the event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we start our news, our economic news with the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Karim Badawi, as he said that the petroleum sector witnessed 18 new oil and gas discoveries over the period from July till this month, with daily output of nearly 13,000 barrels of crude oil and 44 million cubic feet of natural gas. Karim Badawi added that the new discoveries are part of his ministry's ongoing efforts to increase local production on gas and oil and reduce importance throughout the local production of oil and gas, and also to reduce imports through supporting search and exploration activities. He further said that the onshore Nile Delta witnesses 2 new natural gas discoveries and the area's first discovery in 2 years. Minister of Finance Ahmed Kajak called for a new mechanism for sustainable debt management in low and middle-income African countries, as well as a reform for global financial structure to return debt into opportunities for investment and development. Speaking at a roundtable on finance and debt on the sidelines of the UN Trade and Development UNCTAD conference in Geneva, the finance minister highlighted the need for UNICTAID to play a large role in addressing development challenges and finding innovative financing solutions. Egypt's bourse closed into a fluctuation amid self-offs by local and foreign corporations against the other sales purchases by local corporations and Arab investors. The market capital of listed companies lost 2 billion Egyptian pounds, reaching 2.7 trillion pounds at the end of an average transactions of 42.9 billion. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped 0.3% above the 37,576 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 rose to up 0.2% and 0.1% respectively. Well, and finally, with the amazing sports item, as defending champions Al-Ahli are now playing against Well, by this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our news bulletin for now. Many thanks for watching, and from myself, Hanan Al-Khouly.